Picture the streets of Austin, Texas. Musicians tuning in smoky bars, tech startups buzzing, artists painting murals on faded brick walls. It's 2002, but the city's pulse feels electric, driven not by factories or offices, but by a new kind of workforce, the creative class. What if I told you that these 38 million creators aren't just crafting art or code, they're rewriting where and how we live, work, and even think about time? How? That's where Richard Florida's story begins, and it's just getting wild. Imagine millions stepping off the old assembly lines and onto a new stage. This isn't just a job shift, it's a cultural sea change reshaping America's soul and cities. In Austin, the rise of companies like Dell converged with an influx of young, creative professionals, from artists to coders who brought fresh energy. Their presence reinvented local economies and lifestyles, turning Austin into a beacon for innovation. It wasn't just tech, it was a lifestyle upgrade that pulled in restaurants, art scenes, and nightlife, sparking what Florida calls the creative class revolution. Think of creativity like water. It doesn't just fill one place, it seeps everywhere, reshaping the landscape. Florida argues this creative energy flows across industries, science, design, education, breathing life into stagnant economies. Like rivers carving canyons, creative thinking reshapes old economic models into dynamic hubs of growth and innovation. As these creators cluster, cities evolve. They plant the seeds for neighborhoods bursting with cafes, galleries, and co-working spaces. The payoff? Cities like San Francisco and Boston don't just grow, they morph into magnets for talent, diversity, and economic vitality. Florida reveals how cities literally compete on creativity, shifting the playing field from factories to brainpower hubs. Why do some cities boom with creativity while others fade into gray? Florida uncovers the secret sauce behind the places that thrive and the ones that don't. Florida's famous triad, talent, tolerance, technology, explains why places like San Francisco and Boston surge ahead. Talent means skilled people, tolerance means open minds to all identities and ideas, and technology means infrastructure that supports innovation. It's this three-legged stool that propels cities into the future, turning them into epicenters of creativity. Tolerance isn't just feel-good rhetoric. It's the engine that revs up diversity, mixing cultures, perspectives, and passions. Like a living brain, the more varied the inputs, the richer the outputs. Florida shows how cities embracing LGBTQ communities, immigrants, and unconventional thinkers become hotbeds for breakthroughs, because true creativity thrives on difference. This mixing pot leads to creative clusters, neighborhoods where artists, scientists, designers, and entrepreneurs collide daily. Think Silicon Valley's startup density or NYC's galleries side by side with tech hubs. These clusters create multiplier effects, accelerating innovation and economic growth at a rate no isolated city can match. The payoff? Whole regions get transformed into powerhouses. The creative class doesn't just work differently, they live, play, and even feel time in a new way. Florida shows how this creative pulse rewires our daily lives and urban landscapes. Creative professionals blur the lines between work and play. In Portland, cafes double as offices, parks host brainstorming sessions, and networking happens at art openings. Florida highlights how these lifestyle zones create vibrant microcosms where productivity and pleasure fuel each other, turning cities into living labs rather than mere places to clock in. For traditional 9-to-5ers, time is a string of fixed blocks. But creative class members experience time more fluidly, bursts of hyperfocus followed by spontaneous breaks, late-night sprints, and cross-disciplinary jams. Florida likens it to jazz improvisation, where rhythms shift organically. This new rhythm rewires how society values time itself. Cities morph into incubators not just for startups but for social connection and culture. From co-working spaces to maker labs, the urban environment becomes a playground for innovation and experimentation. The payoff? Thriving creative economies that attract more talent, turning cities into ever-evolving creative ecosystems. Remember Austin's glowing night streets? That's not just a snapshot, it's a glimpse of a much bigger wave Florida mapped out. The rise of the creative class means cities and time itself have changed forever. Next time you choose your neighborhood or plan your day, ask yourself, are you building your world like a creative city? Try blending work and play in new ways, your future self will thank you. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.